So tonight we're going to talk about shedding excess weight. I usually like to talk about inflammation in this, but this all kind of comes as part of this. If your weight is stubborn, if there's things that are struggling you about your body, we're going to talk about some things tonight. We put this in there just a simple way. I'm a chiropractor. What the heck am I talking about weight loss for? Shouldn't you just move my bones and let me get home? Well, sure, but a lot of my patients deal with excess amount of inflammation, weight retention, poor nutrition. It all shows up in your joints and your spine and your energy. So if you're holding on to weight, if you're inflamed, if your body isn't getting good nutrition, my success is going to be limited, and I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't try to teach you how do we start to move forward with this in a natural, best natural way. Because we'll talk about it, I'm sure, but there's a lot of options anymore when it comes to at this point. There's a pill for everything, and now there's a pill, an injection for weight loss, and these things can have a lot of side effects. So we just want to make sure that people are knowledgeable how you're doing things, and how do we start to help you, and why does it matter? Why does it matter to lose weight if you do have toxic weight on you? We're going to talk about some of the science about weight gain. We're going to make sure we explore nutrition, anti-inflammatory options. It's very, very important. Hopefully none of it's too new to you, but hopefully you gain some knowledge. We're going to apply some of that learning to our own lives and our own conversations. So that's our kind of 3 goals for our workshop. Food is important, but when it comes to weight loss or stubborn weight, there's a lot more than just food. Let's talk first about chronic stress. Chronic stress equals fat retention. Your hormones of your body are going to be built when there's chronic stress to store up energy and help you for when you need it. It's just the way we've been built since we were, a developing species. So stress is very important to understand. The second will be sleep. If you're not sleeping well, you can't heal, and you definitely can gain weight. 55% less fat loss when you get less than 6 hours of sleep. I like to tell people that you should have 5 hours of uninterrupted sleep. And most people, that's hard, but definitely sleep will affect this. Movement, again, not just about the food. It's not about beating your body up, just working it to the bone so you can have another have the cupcake later. It's not about just burning calories so you can eat more calories. Daily walking, just rebounding. That's why we have our vibration platforms, is like rebounding. It's about lymphatic, getting rid of toxins in your body, letting those flow through. Your body was built to move. And when we don't help move it, number one, the lack of movement doesn't allow the nutrition that you are eating to be spread to all your tissues in your cells. So you might have even good nutrition, but if you're not moving, it's not getting everywhere it needs to, because those cells aren't asking for anything, because they're not doing anything. Our mindset, my gosh, self-talk, shame, it keeps you stuck, unfortunately, and so many of my patients deal with this. I can't tell you how often, I'll suggest us thinking about making some changes, and most people are just said, I've tried them all, and I just don't want to fail again. And I'm just frustrated by the process. And so I don't really want to waste any more time or money, and I've just decided I'm going to just give up. And just if what happens, or if there's an easy way, I'll take it, but I know it's going to be work, and I don't know if I'm cut out for it. You guys are. You can all do it. But that's what we're going to talk about, hopefully, some of the little things we've learned, but that there's ways, and it just takes time. But it also takes support, and that's a big thing, too. That is very hard. The craving cycle. If it's not said anywhere in these slides, I'm going to say it now about cravings. Our food, pretty much most food, all of our food that is, especially anywhere processed, was built to be addictive. Our health's been hijacked by corporate America to help you want more of it more often. Even if it says natural, you throw some stuff on the labels. People are like, people are kind of health conscious all of a sudden. Let's call it natural. Corn syrup is theoretically natural. It comes from corn, but it's not good at all. Our foods have been hijacked. We're being taught a lot of times how to eat by commercials and food companies, not by health professionals, truly. Okay, just know that we need to get back to the basics of eating, and there's lots of ways to look at that. But blood sugar regulation is very important. And if our blood sugar isn't stable, which can get unstable for a lot of reasons, our moods, our stress, the foods that we are eating can start to cause a roller coaster or a yo-yo effect of our blood sugar. That causes more stress and more weight gain and more cravings. If I had a lot of carbohydrates and my blood sugar spiked, if I did that in the morning, I got my Dunkin' Donut on the way in the work, by 10 o'clock, I'd probably need some sort of snack or candy to get my blood sugar back up. And then by lunch, I'm hungry again, so I just order a bunch of pasta or something with a Coke. These things are going to cause I'm not telling you to do any of this. This is going to cause a lot of yo-yoing. That's this craving cycle. Inflammation in the brain. If you've got inflammation, if you're feeling stiff and sore in areas of your body, very likely it's in your brain too. What's that cause? poor focus, mood issues, fogginess. The more blood sugar dysregulated and more inflamed our bodies are, the more foggy our brain is, which makes it hard to be motivated, which makes it even harder to do the things we need. If we kind of combine these issues with lack of sleep, this ghrelin, or the hunger hormone, is increased. Ghrelin is what we're going to talk a little bit about. The more we can reduce that ghrelin, the better off we are. Leptin is what tells us that we feel full. Okay? Leptin tells us that we feel full. Poor sleep increases hunger, decreases the full hormone. This is where GLP-1s, weight loss drugs, this is where they work on these hormones. It's not about a lack of willpower most of the time. It's about needing a better system in the tools. Through the chiropractic lens, just understanding it's not just about calories. It is about our hormones, inflammation, stress, movement. It's holistic. It's just not one size fits all for anybody. Chronic inflammation leads to fluid retention, increases your cravings, and increases fatigue, right? This is chronic inflammation, which we deal with most people. Our gut is kind of the beginning of inflammatory cycle, the beginning of even some of our blood sugar regulation. Our gut health is very, very important, but it's disrupted in so many ways. We're not really exposed to good probiotics, like good bacteria anymore, that we don't really have much of that in our diets. We don't eat a lot of fermented foods. We don't pull things right out of the ground and eat some of the dirt that's on them. You know, we're almost overly clean, not in a bad sense, but that our guts don't get challenged by different bacteria anymore that are healthy for us. In addition to that, stress can really destroy the lining of our gut. And most of the foods that are processed really start to break down the lining, which is like a mucus lining in our gut, which makes a lot of things we eat not digested well and leak into our body so that we become inflamed. But your gut is your second brain. It houses 70% of your immune system. Your addictions don't just come from how your willpower, your brain, they can actually come from the bacteria in your gut who want more of that. This is where if you've ever tried to do a detox, if you've ever tried to like kind of go off coffee or sugars and you feel this like detox flu, it's because those bacteria are going, no, you must feel horrible. We need that stuff back. Food's very addictive. Your nervous system. So we were just kind of talking about this and I touched on this, but just remember, you know, your spine and your nervous system are that master control system. It's the very first system of your body that develops is your nervous system. You have a little bit of gray matter, that's your brain at the moment of conception. But if your brain stops firing and sending electrical signals, boom, that's what death is considered. Your nervous system is the master controller. But when you are developing, you have little buds that come off your spinal cord. Those are your heart, your lung, your liver. Those things all come after you've set down the groundwork. This is why we adjust you. It's just kind of understanding all this. Inflammation. Let's just touch on this for a moment. Your body's natural way of protecting itself is inflammation. When you get hurt or sick, here's why you feel miserable. This is why people have been getting some of these bugs that are going around. They show up on my table before they're feeling probably fully sick. And it's like, where'd that come from? I don't know. And then they call me like the week later, I was sick. But it was inflammation that was the body attacking, trying to get rid of this bug. But it went to a lot of their already inflamed areas that they have problems with that are arthritic or have issues. And so the body was hyped up in inflammation for a good reason, but yet it felt miserable. This is why if all we did was try to get rid of our symptoms in our body, we're lost a little bit. You know, we just don't want to feel that, don't want to feel that. I mean, even a fever. If all I did was try to suppress fever all the time, I'm not allowing my body to heat up and kill the bacteria or the virus. So we don't want to just stifle symptoms all the time and think we're helping the body. The body's the most intelligent thing. We've got to support it. And when we're not, these excess weight and toxins, that happens. The defense process is really meant to, occur temporarily. And that's the challenge is chronic inflammation is just like chronic stress and chronic dietary challenges and chronic gut health. Those become then chronic inflammation. We want inflammation to come and go. We don't want it just chronically sitting around. And just because you have chronic inflammation doesn't mean you should just take an ibuprofen chronically, because that will destroy your liver and your kidneys, and at least we're aware of that now. But that's not the solution. The solution is getting back to some of the basics that we'll probably touch on here shortly. Poisons in our body, toxins in our body come from a lot of places. The air we breathe, the food we eat, but also the water we drink. On the other side of this, it comes from the thoughts we think, the people we know. Toxins come from a lot of different ways. And just know that we're constantly interacting with each other, knowingly and unknowingly, even if it's not spoken, with energies and connections. Our bodies are electrical. We're energetic. We're created from energy to some degree. And so we affect each other in good ways and in bad ways. And the more toxic we are, the more toxic we feel sometimes, the more that can kind of spread to people around us. And it's just to be aware of that. We're overfed and undernourished. That's the key. We can be definitely overfed and undernourished. People are like, well, I'm just starving. Well, it's because there's a lot of reasons for that, but there could be certain basic nutrients. One simple thing, just throwing it out there real quick, we have a product called Think Zinc. It's not just zinc. It's actually a lot of the foundational deficiencies most people have. A, C, E, magnesium, zinc, some basic stuff, has some good oils in it. But we usually put that with one of our products when we're trying to help shed excess weight because we just want to fill some gaps, okay? So sometimes it could be as simple as just some nutrients to fill gaps for cravings. But we want density, which just means we want as many nutrients and the least amount of calories and the most dense product. And usually that's vegetables and fruits, probably that have the most. And remember that, number one. Whole foods, they fight inflammation. Leafy green vegetables, I can't say that today. Berries are wonderful. Salmon, bone broth, cruciferous vegetables, those help your liver process all the toxins we just said that came from everywhere. Turmeric and garlic, these are all really, really good nutrient-dense anti-inflammatory nutrition. Whole foods, okay, whole foods. These are just not, you can find some, there's things that are out there that we even recommend, but there still have been processed so that you can use them. Like sweeteners that are more natural are still processed. The more whole foods, you just get them from their source and that's how you eat them, from how they were grown or how they were killed. That's what you want, all right? Avoid this inflammatory culprits. These are the biggies. Sugar, big one. Seed oils are definitely coming higher and higher, and knowing how detrimental seed oils are. And they're in pretty much every dressing. If you don't buy one that doesn't say made with olive oil only, or like coconut oil or avocado oil, if it doesn't say like only those oils, guaranteed you have some seed oils. Processed carbs, those are huge. Anything that's packaged or processed typically has that. Artificial sweeteners, whole foods, those are big. Inflammation leads to nerve interference. This is kind of the key here, that blocks signals and healing. So inflammation is just a culprit that can easily happen in our diets very commonly. That's a very basic overview. So the dietary guideline, here it is. Yeah, here's the new pyramid. If you scan that QR code or take a screenshot of this, you can do that later. But the new guidelines, very, very different. I mean, you can see, where's bread at? Is it the bottom of the triangle? Well, the top, but it's flipped upside down. Don't ask me why. I'd have to understand what they're trying to do. But meats and vegetables, raw whole foods are all at the bottom. Your avocados, your good oils, they're in the middle, and very little of the whole grains, okay? Why? Whole grains are great, but you don't need as much as was originally thought. So you should get on there. There's a lot of amazing statistics on that. So let's just start simple. Again, simplicity on the far side of complexity. You don't have to change everything. That's the number one thing we want you to know. Planning one meal per day, that's anti-inflammatory. Or even one part of the meal, that's anti-inflammatory. If you're really like, well, I don't know, all the stuff he said was on the inflammation. Well, add a vegetable and remove some extra bread or something like that, okay? Use meal prep strategies. If you've got the funds, maybe you buy some of those pre-things that are pre-made and you get some ideas. These meal preps are huge. Crock pots, soups, protein bowls, batch cooking vegetables, half your body weight in ounces of water. Try to do that. Look at your weight, divide that in half. So if you're 200 pounds, you drink 100 ounces of water, okay? That's a good start. We need to lubricate our bodies and get our bodies flushed, and that's huge. Try, some sort of a reset, 21-day cleanse. We have a 30-day anti-inflammatory cookbook that we usually sell with a product or two to try to help reduce cravings, to help kind of get over some of that fogginess. Those are what we call homeopathic medicines, very safe. You can take them with any kind of other medication because they're not going to interact like an herb would. But those kind of things, if you're really ready for it, we can help, our nutritionists can help, but there's things to purchase on that way. The Shape Reclaim program is one of the ones that we prescribe to. We love this one. This is anti-inflammatory ketogenic program that it was built to, really help, especially as your metabolism's slowing down. There are products in this homeopathic bottle that helps to stimulate your pituitary and your thyroid and your hypothyroid gland to try to start helping produce the hormones that are needed to feel full, to start ramping up your energy without a drug. It's a different process, but very helpful. CaloCurb's the other thing. This is very new to us, but because everyone's jumped on the bandwagon of the GLP-1, we found a company who did a lot of research on hops. And when they concentrate hops, it will actually stimulate you to produce more of that leptin, which is that satisfied hormone, but it's in a pill that just goes through the digestive system. So that little capsule, you only take 2 a day, you take them in between your meals. It will curb cravings by about 40%. It will help you to feel more full and satisfied. It might even help mental stability a little bit, they find, but it is short term. And what I mean by that is it doesn't have a lot of the side effects that the injections do, because those are trying to change your hormones in the blood. This is something that's processed and the body utilizes it to create more of that leptin and help that cravings. Big time. So it's a very natural appetite support and affordable, very much is. We like that product too. So 1-2 punch is usually homeopathic, kind of help the nervous system work, and then we help work on the hormones with that natural product. Next steps is, just think one thing that you want to change, that you're willing to make this week. Maybe it's drinking more water. Maybe it's having your plate look more like half fruits and vegetables, some protein and some grain. Okay? Like I love it, think more fruits and vegetables on those plates. And lots of fiber. They help the good bacteria in your gut. They slow your digestion. All these things. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for all being here. We appreciate you. Have a good night.